What's going on, everybody? Press a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. All right, cool. Because the last time I went live, there was some technical difficulties, and it almost didn't do a live stream, but I figured it out. Just want to make sure everything is going smoothly this time, and apparently it is based on the chat right now. Now, I know a lot of people had came earlier because it said that I was going to get ready to go live about an hour ago, but because of the whole time change and the hour going back, I guess it didn't pick up on their end that it was really 4 o'clock. So it pretty much put me down as if I was going live at 3. And it's a good thing I came over and saw the chat, because I was like, it said 16 people was waiting. I was like, whoa. But that's either here nor there now, because we are live now. Appreciate it, B's. What's that? B's Primetime Network. Right, Solo Dolo. Make sure you hit the like button. And I don't know why my chat box is not coming up on the screen. It did that the last time, and then almost halfway through it, then that's when it wanted to pop up on the screen. But I definitely have it here in my settings. If it comes up, it comes up. If it don't, it don't. Salute to the chat. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I had a pretty decent one. I was pretty much working all weekend with the exception of today, which is why I'm doing this live stream today. And why I'm doing it a little bit earlier, because by the time I get through this, what I'm going to do is, for the first time in a while, I will be opening up the phone lines, because I know people will want to have their take about this, because this has been the talk, especially all over Twitter. That's why I said, if you have a Twitter account, you would see all the stuff that has been going on surrounding this film, and especially if you follow the right people, and you'll see what I mean. But we're going to get into all of that today. And speaking of Twitter, most of the stuff that I've gathered came from Twitter, believe it or not. Most of the stuff that I found out about this movie came from Twitter. And if you do have a social media account, make sure that y'all go ahead and share this stream on your various social media platforms, as I'm about to do right now. Sometimes it takes a while for it to show up on the screen, but it just popped up. And I'm about to share this now so we can get as many eyes as possible, because sometimes the notifications don't work, as we already know. But before I get into that, I had posted on Twitter, if y'all follow me on Twitter, on Halloween, I had posted up saying something that I ran into. Well, not didn't run into, but I witnessed some strag stuff. And people were saying, can you talk about it in the form of a video? But I never made the video, so I'm going to talk about it right now. So basically what happened was, I was on my way to the store. I was on my way to the Safeway. That's a grocery store for those of you who don't know what that is. When I was pulling up into the parking lot, I noticed that it was a truck that looked like it was stalled right in front of me. But anyway, I had to mute my mic right quick. I was pulling up into the parking lot of the Safeway, and I noticed that it was a truck that was stalled in front. It looked like it was stalled, but I wasn't sure. And I'm like pulling up behind them, and I'm like, this person don't have their lights on. I know it's people in the truck because I can see heads moving. And then I'm like, this is too much, because I got traffic behind me. And I was like, okay, let me just pull into this space that's right here next to the truck. And then I look over and I'm hearing a whole bunch of rambling going on. Then I see this guy get out of the back seat of the truck, and he has a case in his hand. It looks like he had an instrument or something like that. Yes, to the people asking, is Safeway still around? Yes, there are still some Safeway still in existence. But they got out. That person got out, and then all of a sudden I'm hearing this woman go at it with this guy. And apparently the guy who was in the driver's seat was her Uber driver. And then all of a sudden, these two guys, the Uber driver is going from car to car asking people to call 911. And I was like, oh, this is serious if he's doing that. And then these two black guys come out. It looks like it could have been a father and a son, and he like kind of flags them down. And I'm thinking, like, did something happen? My first thought, I'm not even gonna lie, is the woman pregnant and is she in labor right now? That was my first thought until the door opened up and I saw that she definitely was far from pregnant. So apparently, she did not pay, for the services rendered. And she was like just being loud and belligerent and all, you just know the usual spill. So the father and the son actually, heard everything that was going on, like a whole bunch of commotion was going on. And they actually offered to take that chick wherever she needed to go. I said, they are better than me, because there's no way after how she acted right there in that parking lot that I would have put her anywhere near my car. And get this, after she did all of that and closed the guy's door. Actually, she slammed the door shut, and all I heard was a sound. That chick spit on that man's truck. He has way more patience than me, because I would have probably took my truck and I would have ended up with a vehicular manslaughter charge, probably, or attempted. But when I saw that, I was like, that was wild. Because after she did that, the guy, because apparently she had dropped something in the truck, but instead of having her go back to the truck to get it, one of the people that offered to give her a ride went to go and get it. And when he went to go grab the door, the guy told her don't touch the door because he said she just spit on my car and I don't know where it landed. So the guy went in through the driver's side, the owner of the truck, and got the phone or whatever it is that she dropped and gave it to him, and then they drove off. And as for the guy who was in the back with the case that looked like an instrument, I don't know where he went. He just kind of walked off and disappeared into the night like a ghost. So, but yeah, that whole exchange was crazy. And people was asking me, did I record it? I said, no, I didn't record it. So just take my word for it. Like, I couldn't make that up if I tried. And ironically, it happened on Halloween. And I looked up in the sky to see if it was a full moon. It was a moon, but it wasn't full. Like I said, that the driver, he had the patience of a Buddhist monk. Because if you spit on my vehicle after you did not pay your funds, there would have been an issue on a physical front. The line, he said she should have drove a Flintstone car. Y'all are crazy. But yeah, that was the Strag incident that I witnessed last week. But anyway, that was my little icebreaker intro right there. I just had to, say that because, I told people I was going to tell y'all about it, and why not talk about it right now? So let's get into it. This Harriet debacle, this Harriet film right here. Let me just start off by saying that it is such a travesty. It is such a tragedy that a film that we would hope would be a huge message to people to show one of our greatest ancestors, Harriet Tubman, in doing all that she did, literally got treated the way that it did. Not from the people criticizing it, but from the people that created it. Now, I don't know if I told y'all this or not, but last year I had got an email they wanted me to do some extra background work for this film. And it was in Richmond, Virginia. I almost went to Richmond to do it. I almost submitted for it. I almost wrote back and said I'll do it. Now looking back on it, or looking at it today, I'm glad that I did not do it. I could not see myself bragging to be a part of something that was completely inaccurate. Now, looking back on a few years ago, when I got a call from Nate Parker to do Birth of a Nation, I would have been all for that because I've always been interested in the story of Nat Turner. And we're going to touch on that a little bit later in the commentary because there's a reason I mentioned that, but hang on to that for a little bit. My bad, y'all. I'm back. I had muted myself and I thought I had unmuted myself. But I was sitting here talking to a muted mic the whole time. But what I was saying was I feel like the voices of the new black media saved me from having to make a huge mistake of going down there and being a part of this film. No matter what position I was in as far as being a part of the film or having my image be used to be a part of it. Now, it is somebody that I do follow on Instagram who took pictures of themselves in their attire back when they were filming this. And I asked them, I said, are you a part of that Harriet film? Because I looked at what they had on. It looked like something from back in that time. And they basically were saying in so many words, they couldn't say anything. And I already knew what it was. But, when you do in films and everything like that, you're under a gag order. So you can't talk about it until the first trailer drops. That's just how the business is, because if anything gets out, then it comes back on the studios. Then it comes back on you. And that's a lawsuit that you do not want on your head. But when I learned all I needed to know about Cynthia Erivo from the voices of new black media such as Tariq Nasheed, Professor Black Truth, Jason Black, and a host of others. And believe it or not, this is why I also tell y'all to be on Twitter, because y'all think that they just do stuff on YouTube. They'll give you a video every now and then on YouTube, but if you want to really see the conversations that they have, get on Twitter. Trust me. That's why I always keep telling people to get on Twitter, even if they are the only people that you follow. As a matter of fact, a good chunk of my followers come from people who look and listen to people like Tariq Nasheed or Professor Black Truth or Jason Black. We practically almost share some of the same followers. It's almost like we're in that same sphere. So that's why I always tell y'all to get on to Twitter. And it's a very fast-paced moving social media site as well. And you can have notifications turned on there as well, like on YouTube. At least the notifications on Twitter work. I will say that. So if you have notifications turned on for me, every time I tweet something, you'll get it. That's how my likes and retweets be going up so fast, because I know people got those notifications turned on. But anyway, back to this debacle, this so-called film. So the movie came out what, Friday. I don't know what the back office. I don't know what the box office numbers are. I'm sure they're probably already out right now. But I know that the movie was made on a $4 million budget. So it was a low budgeted film. In order for the movie to really in order for the movie to become a success, it would have had to make at least over 10 million. Now, as for it being number one in the box office, I doubt that it will be number one. If you can't hear me, refresh the page. If you cannot hear me, refresh your page. Timothy Lawson, you said that they brought in $12 million this weekend. That's actually more than what they projected it to make. Well, from a source. And you said it came in at number 2. Okay, cool. Yeah, but if the sound goes out for you, just refresh your page. If the sound does go out for everyone else, I probably muted my mic. But if it just goes out for you and everybody else can hear you or hear me, just refresh your page. And we're going to talk about that too. Like, there's going to be a lot we're going to unpackage right now. We're still in the intro. I haven't even gone into my links just yet. We haven't really dove into this just yet. We're going to be here for a while. This is probably going to be one of my longer streams. So just sit tight because this is going to be very interesting. So apparently they have made $12 million. And someone said they came in at number 2. Who was number 1? Can anybody tell me what the number 1 film was this weekend? I wonder if it was The Joker again, because The Joker been crushing it lately, which was a very good movie, by the way. Terminator? Okay. Yeah, I forgot Terminator came out this weekend. That was another movie I wasn't interested in seeing. But as far as I'm concerned, nobody won because both movies look trash to me, but whatever. And it's a shame that I have to say that a movie that's about or supposed to be about Harriet Tubman is trash, considering the type of person that she was, because she really was a real life superhero for people. Any woman that can make that many trips up and down from the north to the south to save her brethren and her sister and her family by any means is seen as a superhero in my eyes, but not in the way that she was portrayed in this film. There were a lot of fallacies in here. And what's so crazy is when you had Birth of a Nation that came out in 2016, when it premiered at various film festivals like Sundance and everything like that, it got wide praise. But around August of that year, all of this stuff started to come out about Nate Parker involving some chick at the school he went to, which was a whole bunch of lies. He was acquitted by all palm-colored court system, meaning the judge, the prosecution, and the jury. But that came up years later, and then the woman committed suicide years before. And you had all these fools coming out here rallying behind a deceased palm-colored woman to trash his movie. Then you had that buck-tooth, fat cow, Cancer Phillips, sit her wobbly behind up on Roly Poly's a former show, talking about some rape scenes that happened in the movie that didn't even happen. And then tried to knock down the sister that was in the movie, Anjanae Ellis, who was another phenomenal actress who doesn't get the prop she deserves. She did a really good job. She does a good job in all the roles that she's in, because she's a very good dramatic actress. And they went back and forth to the point where they couldn't even get to the topic of discussion, other topics of discussions, because Cancer Phillips has this disdain for black men. And we know that she does, because look at all the stuff she said about them. That's why I don't feel bad for her. When she got that wake up call on that plane, what was it, a couple years ago? We ain't heard from her since. And I said, good. Right, Dark Meteorite. Gabrielle Union is another one. She lied. And she was in the film. She was in the film. And her part wasn't even that big. She tried to make it seem like she was the one who played Nat Turner's wife. And she wasn't. She was just this random slave woman. I don't think she had any relation to Nat Turner. It's like she just popped up. She had a scene where she got called into the house by Massa. He raped her and she came back outside and that was it. And see, it seemed like to me she was directing anger in the wrong direction, or she was hopping on the bandwagon of what else was going on out there to trash this film. But you were in the movie. That makes it even worse. Nate Parker gave you an opportunity, and that's how you treat him. You helped to down this man's movie. But when you look at her behavior and how she is with Dwayne Wade and with that son, you know, the one that's, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't surprise me. Now she got Dwayne Wade dressed in a certain way. Dwayne Wade's son, who is not biologically her son, apparently is a part of the Alphabet Academy at a very young age, taking him to pride parades out there with God knows who doing God knows what in the middle of the street. That lets you know what she's on. I bet you she wouldn't let the child that she does have that is hers, that she did not carry to term, because I think internally she can't carry. I bet you she won't allow that child to be corrupt. She, hell come hell or high water, she would not allow her baby to become corrupt. But she can corrupt someone else's kid. Make it make sense. No, B first. She's not in the Harriet movie. She was in Birth of a Nation. And it's funny because a lot of people kept trying to say, you know what, I'm going to save that part for a little bit later. I could go into, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So you know what I did? I copied links from Twitter so I could make sure that I did not lose my position and didn't have to go on a journey to try and find them. And I came and I have 3 links in particular, but wait until you hear the last link. The last link is going to be the nail in the, well, not so much the nail in the coffin. I guess you can say the cherry on top. It's going to be very interesting. So y'all got to stick around for that last one. So you see on your screen right here, you have Cynthia Erivo in the top right corner. The only reason I'm not really going in on her right now is because we've gone on her so many times, but I put her up there because she is a focal point of this. Of course, you see in the middle, that's the poster for the movie. But who I want to talk about is the chick right there in the bottom right corner. If y'all don't know who that is Cassie Lemons. She is the director and co-writer of this film. Now, she also wrote this with another black man. I forget his name. But she directed and co-wrote this film, which means she had damn near pretty much full control of this. And since she co-wrote it, that means she was also in charge of the characters. But it's one character in particular that she created. Well, first off, before I get to that character, let me get on Janelle Monáe's character. To my knowledge, her character not only did not exist, but they said that Harriet did have someone she confided in, but she didn't look anything how they had Janelle Monáe look. And when I was looking at the previews, did anyone else notice that it kind of looks like Janelle Monáe and Cynthia Erivo's characters look like they were trying to engage in some L-class behavior? And it's not surprising because doesn't Janelle Monáe identify herself as, what's that thing that they tried to put on the Lando Calrissian character? It's part of the Alphabet Academy, but I forgot what it was. It's a specific one. Pansexual. Thank you, Patience. Pansexual. She says she identifies as pansexual. And I'm not even gonna lie. When Janelle Monáe first came out, or like it took me a while to warm up to her, I thought she was attractive. I thought she had a very interesting look to herself. But then as time goes on and I see the kind of stuff that she caters and panders to, I was like, I can't get down with that. Her and Tessa Thompson, right there, those two, like Tessa Thompson, she's another one that's flip floppy. It's like 1 minute she's this, the next minute she's that. I think pansexual means that they are open to trying anything. The code name I believe is called trisexual, and I think somebody put that in the chat. So that's basically what a pansexual is. They'll try anything at least once before they decide what they really want. So they'll try a woman, they'll try a guy, they'll try a transgender, they'll try a bisexual, they'll try a gay person, they'll try a lesbian. That's basically what they are. They don't discriminate. I'll put it that way. They don't discriminate. But they live a very wild, I guess you can say, sexual lifestyle. And it's a very small, I guess you can say, community of them. But to get off her character right quick, it was one character in particular that this Cassie Lemons, who I actually found out what used to act herself. Somebody told me that Cassie Lemons was in that Candyman movie. Now we all in here saw Candyman, but I didn't know who she was. But they said she was in the Candyman movie. And I think she died. Now, what I'm going to do is read this excerpt that comes from Cassie Lemons. Remember, she co-wrote and directed this film. It says, killing Harriet for money is certainly a choice. In fact, it's Harriet's former enslaver who has to graphically shoot the bounty hunter in the head to stop the bounty hunter from killing Harriet. Sure, the enslaver has his own reasons for doing so that aren't all about keeping Harriet free. And sure, the enslaver was the sole reason the bounty hunter was hunting Harriet in the first place. Still, it is unsettling to watch this enslaver save Harriet's life from a violent black man. So when I read that, I'm like, who? I said, I see what they did here. They gave her a white savior. They did. That's why I say y'all gotta wait for that last tweet, because the last tweet link that I go to, because I'm gonna run all of that down. But basically what Cassie Lemons did is she created a big black boogeyman to want to go out there and go on a severe hunt for Harriet. Basically a big black boogeyman who was a bounty hunter. I don't know about y'all, but how many black bounty hunters were there out there back during those particular time periods? They wrote this movie in a sense that they made it where the black bounty hunters almost seemed to have more dominance than the white slave masters. That's what is reading to me. And guess the name of the black bounty hunter. Guess what they named him? Appreciate you, Solo Dolo. You're right. That film is not for us. It's not. We know who it's catering to. Right, the mental traveler. They called the slave, the black bounty hunter, Bigger Long. Tell me that does not sound like a Mandingo section of Pornhub type name. Bigger Long. And then I saw the actor that they had played him, and I've seen him in other things before. Like, it's the typical big black guy. Think of Michael Clark Duncan. If Michael Clark Duncan was alive, they probably would have cast him. Like, I'm not even kidding. It sounds like the name of a black man in porn that just has, like, his sole mission is to go around and screw anything that moves, preferably of the Caucasian kind. Hint, hint. towards tweet number 3. When I get to it, I'm still on tweet number 1. Now, remember what I said about Birth of a Nation. When they kept saying that Nate Parker kept putting that there was these rape scenes that were in there. But we saw the film. Did anybody who watched Birth of a Nation see anything in there about or see a rape happen? We saw insinuations of a rape, like the scene where his wife got raped and beat badly, but they didn't show it. The part where Gabrielle went into the house, she got raped, but they didn't show it. And even the scene, and this was so creative for Nate Parker to do this, because this was never done in any slave narrative that I've ever seen anyway. When he went into the house to kill one of the masses, and when they opened up the door, and out from the cover came this little black girl. When that showed up on screen, I literally sank into my chair. I said, oh, he was real bold to do that. Appreciate you, Solo Dolo. I said he was bold to do that, because that had never been seen before. And then after they got the girl out of the bed, he blew Mass's head off. Like I said, the only brutal things that like someone said that happened in Birth of a Nation was the part when they revolted and when they killed the slave owners and the slave masters. That was pretty much the only brutal part. And of course, when they were showing scenes when they were getting whipped, that was very tame. When they were showing that. But they kept trying to say that there were rape scenes in the movie, and it's like it didn't happen. And it was Cancer Phillips that kept pushing that. Oh, it was rape scenes here and rape scenes there. And when Anjanae Ellis asked her, did you see the movie? She said no. That's because people like Cancer Phillips already made up in her mind how she felt about Nate Parker as a man. As a black man at that. Now, had this been white Zaddy, she probably wouldn't have been running her mouth the way that she was. Remember, this is the same chick that said that black men need to address their role in rape culture. I will never forget when she said that. That sticks out like a sore thumb to me. She said black men need to address their role in rape culture. Right, Savan. They did sabotage that movie in many ways. That movie had around the same budget as Harriet, but didn't make nearly as much money because they sabotaged it. I think Birth of a Nation cost about $6 million to make, but it only made like $2 million in its opening weekend when it should have made way more. But because of lamestream media and their cohorts, it didn't get the praise that it deserved. See, what scared them about it is, and I don't mean to keep going off topic, but I have to mention it. What scared them is when they saw how much accolades it got at those film festivals. Because usually what happens at those film festivals will usually reflect in award season, like Golden Globes, Oscars, SAG Awards, so on and so forth. They were scared that possibly for the first time ever, a slave narrative written and created by a black man, an ADOS man, that didn't tell the typical narrative of just being docile, but actually fighting back against his masters and actually having help and revolting, scared them. And the thought of that winning awards, those palm-colored created awards, it was not happening. So somebody in that industry put that out there and knew it would get people riled up, and that was the result. I will never forget on my original channel when I went in a full-blown rant when I saw those box office numbers. I was thoroughly pissed. And they were scared that if they made a movie like this that was successful, that it would spark something in all these other black creators to create something like that, maybe of some other revolts, or even go further back and talk about what happened before slavery. That was a message to the industry, to the black people in the industry. Look, know your place or we'll put you in it. And that's what they were doing with Nate Parker. They were, in a nutshell, Nate Parker was bucking the industry. And that was a big ass no-no. He took a risk. Mainly because he didn't do it with major studio backing. He did it with with his funds and from donations from his other celebrity friends. So he took a huge risk. I remember it was that at that time when I was like, it is some of our people who are just sick, ill. Y'all actually let this lamestream media fool you like that. And it was at that point when I knew that some of us just wasn't shit. Appreciate you, Chris in Dallas. He said, I'm no Trump supporter, but these immigrants gotta go. I can't argue that. Now, they talked about all these inaccuracies that happened in Birth of a Nation. But they will not address the inaccuracies that happen in this film. I've seen tweets from other people, mainly black women, defending inaccuracies of this film because the director is a black woman. And Ashton, if you are in this chat right now, you know exactly who I'm talking about because I saw you having an exchange with her on Twitter. This chick even went and tried to spread a lie about Nate Parker and to try and defend the inaccuracies of this film. Appreciate you, Darnell. But yeah, they defended lies and fallacies for this film, but had all this shit to say about Birth of a Nation, and most of them didn't even watch the damn movie. But had so much shit to say. All this was a lie, this didn't happen. And a whole bunch of other stuff. But hey, you know what? Birth of a Nation has one thing on it that this film doesn't and will never have. And that's the integrity and the fact that the funding that was used to make this movie was independently made. It didn't get major financial backing. And while this movie only cost $4 million to make, it didn't do what Birth of a Nation did as far as raising its own funds. That money came from studios. So I'm seeing that they said the movie made $12 million this weekend. Okay, fine. All we can hope now is that it doesn't get any type of award season buzz, because that's what they're pushing for. They are going to push for this movie to win awards, Golden Globes, Oscars, whatever. They're going to push for it. That's why I was also upset. And you know what? I bet you some of the same people that are pushing the lies of this film didn't even go see the Brian Banks movie. Now, y'all remember when I did the review about that, I was one of the few people, and I mean a very small few people, who went and saw that movie. If y'all remember my review, that was the most emotional review I had ever given on my channel. I couldn't hold back to see that brother get hemmed up the way that he did by another fellow black woman in this fucked up system. But I bet you they didn't go and support that. I even saw that they were actually having free screenings for the Harriet movie. And somebody had to correct me when it came to those screenings. Those screenings are paid for by sponsors. So guess what, y'all? If they had all these free screenings and they were paid for by sponsors, that means that $12 million don't mean shit. It's not organic. They had to have free screenings in order for them to make money. Did Birth of a Nation get free screenings? No, it made their $2 million on pure integrity. So basically, those numbers are padded. And a lot of the people that was pushing those free screenings are anti-ADOS. Am I shocked by that? Hell no. I wouldn't watch this movie on the most worst bootleg copy on my Fire Stick. Appreciate you, Solo Dole. He said fictional money for a fictional film. Right. Might as well pay them in Monopoly money. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to my next tweet. Okay, shout out to Great Black Shark, because you were one of the tweets that I went to that I'm actually looking at right now, and it was something you retweeted, and it involved that chick that made that comment, that tweet. I don't give a damn. Her name is Brittany Cooper. You know me, I don't hold back when I'm putting people on blast. I don't. And this chick literally went on a whole goddamn tirade or defense about this film. I'm gonna read to you what she said, because it was one thing she said that rubbed Great Black Shark the wrong way. Wait, Grant, you said it's a flop. 12 million to 2,000 theaters is an industry failure. Sales only go down from here. Well, hopefully that, you know what, you might have a point there. I mean, you might have a point, but we'll see, because this is just the first weekend. So that means the next weekend they gotta maintain a certain hold. If they drop down below 50%, the movie would be deemed a flop after its first weekend. But let me go ahead and read this tweet right here. Appreciate you, B1. And it's coming from this chick named Brittany Cooper. And she says, for there to be a white savior, y'all, the white person would have had to save her. He was hunting her. He didn't want to save her. And she escapes. She saves herself. Now, this is a person that went and saw the movie. Last tweet, based on the outrage in my mentions, it's clear that most of y'all dismiss a film that is wholly about a black woman hero because of one black male anti-hero, because nothing can't ever be about us. You're sexist, and the women saying it are misguided. Do better, I'm done. So y'all basically hearing that, right? Black men, according to her, in translation, we're being toxic masculinitous, and black women, if you're listening to this, you are being pick-me's. I can read through all that shit. For a person who has done these videos on a consistent basis since 2016 and listens to the right people and pulls from everywhere, I can read through what she just said. She basically said black men, toxic masculinity, and black women, if you defend this shit, you're nothing more than a pick-me. And someone else said, I wonder, though, if the sheer rarity of black bounty hunters is the problem here. The character is fictional, inventing him and all, but guarantees that people focus on him. He's a peacock amongst ducks. Surely Lemons had to have known that this character will suck the air out of Harriet's story. Now, this was another woman, not the Brittany Cooper. She comes back and she replies to this person and says, in historical dramas, filmmakers take all the kinds of liberties to drive the plot. I have no idea why she took this one. I can think of a few. But folks keep acting like there aren't two bounty hunters, one of whom grows and learns. And I'm thinking the other bounty hunter might be black as well. Now here's the part where Great Black Shark retweeted her and basically responded to her. And Great Black Shark, if you're in here, I hope you don't mind me reading what you replied to her with or what you retweeted with. She says, if she wants to comment on patriarchy, black and white, and I sort of think so, then she does, and she does it in a range of ways so that black men are not wholly villainized. Some are heroes, and some are obstacles. I don't think the film needed the character, but she literally contradicted herself. She said, I don't think the movie needs this character, but. But people went in on her. And Great Black Shark, I'm gonna read what you said. He said, again, like the bootlicking white supremacist apologist you are, you spout nonsense about a black male patriarchy. Riddle me this. What black men own a majority of corporations, pass legislations, and run any institution that can oppress black women? White male patriarchy does all of that. And you wrote that in all caps. I wholeheartedly agree. That's something that a lot of black women have to get through their heads. We cannot possibly oppress you. We can't. Hell, most of the stuff that you have been given as far as liberties go have come from this government. And I bet you not one black face was on that board when those amenities were being handed out. But she want to sit up here and talk about a black male patriarchy. But I noticed that she talked about patriarchy and she put black and white, but she put black first. Basically, in a nutshell, people are coming out and justifying the creation of this fictional black slave catcher bounty hunter by the name of Bigger Long. Because they have to put out there that it was the big black brute that was causing all of this. This is how narratives in history get rewritten, with lies. And they have to constantly put it out there in those books that kids read. Remember what McGraw-Hill did a couple years ago when they said something along the lines of slavery, what did they say, that it was a hobby or something like that? It was a lie. And when people got wind of it, they had to quickly go back and take it out of the book before that book got published to the schools that for those students in the next school year. And I'm going to read to you this tweet that somebody else wrote. And this tweet right here, I want y'all to really listen to this because they literally smacked this Brittany Cooper person so hard in this response that they could not even reply back to it. They said, so if a guy made a movie about Frederick Douglass and made one of the villains a black woman who kept giving up his location because she was in love with a white slave master, would you call black women who were upset sexist? When I saw that, I instantly queued up the Jeopardy theme song. Right. You are better off reading up the actual history about Harriet Tubman rather than watching this film. Let's see. Someone said black patriarchy in a time when white women could sell a black man's children and white men could rape his wife and get away with it. See, they keep talking about this black patriarchy. How was there a black patriarchy on the plantation that black men had no power over? In order to be really deep rooted into the patriarchy or run it, you have to, I don't know, run shit. Property could not own property. At this point, I think a lot of these people are just trolling. And I bet you she's probably one of them lead with degrees type chicks. Oh, I got a degree in basket weaving. I'm a queen. Appreciate you, Rashad L. You said, bro, I like your content. Keep doing what you do. Appreciate you. This film looks like it could have been put on Lifetime or maybe in the back burner somewhere of the Disney Channel. You want to know who I like portraying as Harriet? Who watched that movie? Not movie. Who remember that show Underground? That used to come on WGN. The actress that played Harriet Tubman on that show was a damn good actress. Content. Keep doing and portrayed Harriet Tubman the way she was supposed to be portrayed, not with what this is. Aisha Hines, thank you. I knew it was Hines, but I couldn't remember her first name. I was mad when they canceled that show, but when Sinclair, aka Fox Jr., took over, they got rid of it. And I can't help but think that they probably took over WGN to get rid of Underground. But because especially since she would have played a huge, intricate part in the upcoming season. After all, the show was named after what she established. Now, what I'm going to do is open up this third tweet. Now, I want you to listen very closely to this. Now, I'm following, and we're following with each other. I'm following a person on Twitter by the name of Ricky Rawls. And he actually watched the Harriet movie on bootleg and gave a play-by-play of this. Those of you who follow me on Twitter, the scene that I retweeted on my page and gave my little analysis on, or gave my little viewpoint on, the thread I'm about to read from is coming from just that. So I want y'all to listen closely because I don't know how long this thread is because I haven't read the entire thing. So somebody out there did the footwork for us. All right, I'm about to read it. He starts off by saying, found a Harriet bootleg, y'all, watching it now. Then he says, they're already laying it on thick with the spellbound master bae thirsty for Harriet. Why did they add this element? Basically, the implementing of the white slave master thirsting for Harriet Tubman. Now, mind you, they're just getting into the film. Like, they haven't gotten that far in. They said, this honestly feels very hammy and like a CW or Lifetime movie. Very broad musical cues and very tropey. It really doesn't make slavery look that bad except for restriction of movement. This movie is mildly entertaining in a middle-brow blockbuster kind of way. It feels like a 90s highly fictionalized biopic like Mel Gibson's The Patriot. It doesn't feel like a quote-unquote serious biopic at all. It isn't boring, but it is very shallow. There's no real depth to anything. No background to any characters, no childhood, no larger context. It just starts right before she escapes and hits the ground running and is trope filled. The people who hate this movie without seeing it for the reason that they hate trauma porn, not my objection to the movie, might actually not mind this movie. Very little mistreatment plus far 30 minutes in, there have been two good white people in succession who help her escape. And then I'm going to read to you, somebody replied to him. I'm going to read what the reply said. The movie is absolute trash. If they don't show her get hit in the head with a piece of iron, that's why she wore the handkerchief and why she used to be narcoleptic. It would be like Malcolm X movie with no Detroit Red era. This revisionist history cannot be tolerated. They replied with, they not only don't show that, they show no violence or mistreatment on screen at all. So far, and no backstory. She has visions, but they don't explain violent slave owners what they did to cause them. Cynthia Erivo's acting is very flat. Her emotional range is low. So far, her effect is very flat. She later gives a verbal explanation of how she got the head injury, but the bootleg audio quality makes it hard for me to hear what she said. Cynthia Erivo isn't bad, she's just very unremarkable and flat. I don't know if this is meant to be contrasted with the second half of the movie, where she will presumably gain confidence and comes out of her shell, given this is very formulaic hero's journey stuff so far. If this was totally fictional and not intended to be a butchered biopic of an icon, it would be a pleasant enough TV movie so far, like a CW or Lifetime show meets Underground, the series, which I just talked about. It doesn't feel like a real theatrical movie though. It feels very television-like. I wish I could give a more entertaining live tweet, but this movie is just so average. Not good enough to rave about, but not bad enough so far to really shrewd as a good hate watch. It's just kind of a watchable TV movie. Now, listen to this. They finally mentioned Bigger Long. He's an infamous slave catcher. As opposed to black slaves who were forced to help slave patrols, Bigger Long is a free agent, free black, who was known as the best slave catcher there is. Better than the white slave patrols. He's who they go to when they need slave catching experts. Did y'all hear that? So apparently now, the white slave owners need advice on how to catch their own slaves, so they go to Bigger Long, Mr. Mandingo, on how to catch their own slaves. Someone said, "Oh man, Bigger Long is here. I can't believe how much worse this movie has gotten with his arrival. He seriously showed up, and all the white Southerners are deferring to him as the best slave catching expert. And he's like a mix between a rapper and Uncle Ruckus." So catch this, y'all. Bigger Long shows up with all this swagger and stands in front of all the slave catchers and is basically treated like an expert they must defer to. He demands the largest share of the bounty and the other white people to split the rest amongst themselves. And when the head slave owner, the CW looking Master Bay, asks him why he needs that much money for, he grins and says so he can buy all the white whores he can from now till whenever. He says this in front of a bunch of white slave owners and overseers, and they don't kill him. They all grab their guns, and there's a tense moment. But Bigger Long just bursts out audaciously, laughing at his own "fucking all the white whores I can" line. The white men stay their hand, presumably because he's such a slave-catching expert, they can't kill him for impertinence. Excuse me. Fucking white whores is literally Bigger Long's motivation for being the world's greatest slave catcher in Harriet. It's like all the worst black men tropes. It's like Boondocks characters Catcher Freeman and Uncle Ruckus were combined. Appreciate you, Odyssey, Child 47, and Solo Dolo. And I don't want to say this person's name. I guess that's their government name. So I'm gonna say Gigi. Appreciate you. Bigger Long just talks like a rapper. He just told another black guy, "You fucked up nigga," in a modern cadence. Oh my God. Mind you, Cassie Lemons co-wrote this. Now, what they did was they recorded something off of their screen that I'm going to read it to you. I'm not going to play it. He said, "This is the Bigger Long intro scene. It's hard to hear probably, but this is the part where he demands 2/3 of the bounty and says the other whites must split the rest. And when they ask why he needs so much, he says to fuck white whores." And then he says, Let me keep going. Well, now it kind of broken up because now he's going at it with those blue check Negroes. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He said it's like all the blue checks kept telling black people slave play wasn't so bad and kept telling everyone they had to see it to judge. Then when I saw it, it was exactly what everyone complained it was before seeing it, but worse. These people will say anything. He said there are so many good white people in this movie. The good white people actually outnumber the bad ones. Lots of abolitionists, but only one bad family, and that family is never seen doing much bad except slapping two slaves. The only real violence has happened, and it was a black man stomping out and punching a black woman to death. The one who was in it for the white whores. He didn't even shoot her. The CW underwear model looking masturbate tracking Harriet has just caught sight of Harriet after thinking she was dead for a year, and he looks at her like a star-crossed lover from afar. To be fair, the romantic interest is not reciprocated, but he's clearly in love. There are very few scenes of slavery and slave owners and plenty of scenes of freedom. In Northern abolitionists, it asks nothing of white people as far as interrogating themselves, but gives them plenty of good white people to identify with, unlike Birth of a Nation. And someone had replied to him and said, is it just me, or does Janelle Monáe have a more steely, commanding aura than Arrivo, whose facial expressions are consistently wide-eyed and terrified? He replies, it's true. Arrivo has like two expressions, scared and stressed out. I have no idea where all these critical raves about her performance came from. They said, oh wow, so this high yellow black lady is supposed to be an escaped slave hiding the others in the back. She not only is passing as white, but she's also passing as a man. Her master, and she fools the slave patrol. The man even calls her sir. Let's see here. They said it's let's see. And I think that was the last part. It may be some more. If it is, I'm gonna keep on reading. Oh, okay. They said, so a bunch of the Blavidity BuzzFeed blacks defending this film claimed the white slave owner didn't save her, and that was a lie, but here's the scene. And that was a scene I actually retweeted onto my page. And someone said this academic not only defended the movie, she straight up lied to someone about this scene from the previous tweet for some reason. These people are weirdly loyal to each other to the point of outright lying and gaslighting other black people. It's over now, and the first half was just passably mediocre BET or Lifetime movie, but the second half turned into a howler. So bad. I don't get why these blue checks keep gaslighting people who were going by the reviews and acting like they needed to see it. The reviews of anything really downplayed how terrible this shit was. Why would they encourage people to see it? Did they think they'd agree with them after seeing it? Or were they just hoping to trick them into inflating the opening weekend box office? So I think what Bigger Long says here when asked what he needs $200 slave catching bounty for, he says, enough white horse to last me till Atlanta, but I'm not sure. Oh, one last thing about Harriet. She has her owner dead to rights, and instead of shooting him, she takes the high road and delivers a lecture full of civil rights platitudes and presentism, and predicts the Civil War, explicitly says your people will be a part of a lost cause. So she throws down her guns, espouses respectability and civil rights talks. Basically a type of Negro forgiveness scene, predicts the Civil War, and declares she will do her killing on the battlefield, where she will have the permission of the white people to do it. So she throws some Negro forgiveness and lets her master off with a stern lecture, and implies that the right way for her to take up arms against white people, even oppressive slavers, in service of and with permission from other white people, the Union of the Civil War. Then it jumps forward to Harriet leading a Union regiment against the Confederacy at the Battle of Combahee. And now she is finally shooting at white people with intent to kill, because now she's doing so within the rules and the system as a part of the white military. Just going to end this by saying check out our podcast, Champagne Sharks, anywhere you listen to podcasts, and to subscribe to it. And we're going to discuss it soon, and subscribe to their Twitter. It says there is more fuckery, but I'm going to save that for the eventual podcast episode. When we do it, I'll add the link to this thread. And that was it. So y'all just got a rundown of the film in so many words. I know what you're thinking. What a load of bullshit. Don't worry. I am thinking and feeling the same exact way as you. The same exact way. And like I said, that was my first time reading that and what you heard in its entirety. And like I said, this was a person that watched it on a bootleg. Now, what I'm about to do is I am going to open up the lines right quick, because I know that some of you have something to say. Well, many of you do, about everything that I have just put out there for you. Let me go ahead and see, pull this up right quick. And so I can put the number into the chat. I haven't used it in a while. All right, that's the number right there. I pretty much said all I have to say about this as of right now. And I'm gonna look up those box office numbers and determine if it's a flop or not, because if it is, y'all know what's coming next. Oh yeah, that was another thing. When her savior came, they literally played that excuse me. They literally played that out like it was a Disney film. They had him on a white horse. And they said he wanted basically to kill her or kill Big or Long, because he wanted to have her to himself. You can take that with however you want to put it. All right, y'all, the number's right there in the chat. In case if y'all don't, you mean to tell me nobody has anything to say? This has been the talk pretty much all weekend. All right, what's going on?
Hello?
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 What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, my take on it, man, just reading everything from that person on the Twitter thread about the film, just let me know everything about how crappy this movie really is.
Oh yeah, I already knew what it was going to be
Yeah,
before I even read any of that. Because I was just looking at it, I was like,
yeah,
something about it just kind of seems off.
yeah. I knew it was gonna be off because I knew from the trailer and everything else that I knew they were gonna make this into like a sexualized fantasy propaganda type film,
Right.
and especially I was reading it and seeing how this what's the director's name? I forgot her name just now.
Cassie Lemons.
Cassie Lemons, yeah, Cassie Lemons betraying this bounty hunter, Baker Long of all things, really.
Right, that name, my goodness. I like, could you?
Right,
I said you couldn't be any more stereotypical.
right, exactly. When I first started the name, I was like, they are really stereotyping us even more in
Mm-hmm.
these damn movies. And I think you probably never saw my tweet on Twitter when I said that. You probably saw that when I said something like, I forgot what I said, but I said something like, I like Beta Long, really?
Right. And like I said, the crazy part about it is this was a script that was written by two black people. So
Right.
they can't say that it was palm colored people that wrote this. They may have had to
Yeah.
approve it, but at the end of the day, they were the ones that wrote it.
Right. But you have to understand that they work in these industries.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones that control the industry are the ones that told them to write that. So
Right.
yeah, of course they had a lot of responsibility to write that, but you also have to look at who actually told them to write.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Because now all of a sudden he's this big time bounty hunter. And he's
Mm-hmm.
telling these white slave owners what to do.
Exactly.
And he's sitting there talking about all these white owners I want to fuck with and everything. Man, they
Exactly.
would have lynched that nigga a long time
Exactly.
ago.
If he
Back in
even
that
looked,
time
if he
period, he
even looked
said
at
something
one,
like
if he
that.
even looked at one of them wrong.
Right, if he looked at him wrong, they would have lynched his ass for saying that. But they had to write it in fantasy to make it seem like he's this big time bounty hunter that's telling them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to listen to him and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm.
And just hearing the stuff about how people are just praising the hell out of it. Like, you guys really don't get the propaganda they really are pushing in this film.
Right.
They just literally turn Harriet Tubman into a joke.
Exactly.
Her eyes
Right.
all bugged up.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's one of those, like, minstrel characters from back in the day.
Exactly.
Having her scared all the time. That's not who she was.
Right.
Not to us, she wasn't. I mean, and I'm glad that you brought up about Isha Hines from the TV show Underground.
Mm-hmm.
That was Harriet Tubman.
Right.
Because she played Harriet Tubman very well and real wit
Mm-hmm.
on that TV show. And it kind of sucks that they got rid of it.
Yeah, because because of Sinclair, but
Mm-hmm.
it's sad
Yeah.
because I was really looking forward to the third season because of how the second season had ended. Like they did something at the end of the second season of Underground that has never been depicted in probably any slave narrative, whether it been on the big screen or on television.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that part where they burned
Right.
down the master's house.
Yeah, I know. I remember when at the season finale, season 2, when figured out Noah.
Yeah.
He was trying to figure out what happened to I keep forgetting the character's name. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
When Kato got Journey's character.
Yeah.
And he tried to figure out what happened to her because she gave birth to his child. So just because of that, we won't be able to find out what happened to it since they canceled it.
Yep. Right. It's not even worth it.
What?
I said that little
Yeah.
rundown that I did
And
at the end, that person pretty much did the work for us. So all I could do was just deliver that. All I could do was just deliver it to y'all.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah, but yeah, I'm not gonna hold you long, man.
All right.
I know
Well,
you got other calls, so
yeah. All right. I appreciate you calling.
yeah, no problem.
All right. All right. You can go ahead.
Hey, yeah, Trent. Yeah, this movie was a flop. You have to understand, it dropped Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
It's on 200 theaters. Out here, I'm in Los Angeles. Out here, they've been buying theaters. It's common knowledge that the theater buys seats. So, from what I've talked to and some people I've talked to, I live right down from a movie theater, and I called down and asked somebody I knew, and they said ain't nobody been up in there to see that damn thing. They just wasting film. And out here, they are inundating us with advertisement. They spent a pretty penny. I and don't believe that 12 million figure.
Okay.
Trust me, they fighting for their life because I have a friend who manages one of those trucks. She's
Mm-hmm.
a caterer, vegan caterer. She goes out to Century City. Century City is like the political where all the deals and all the lawyers and all the haggling goes in Los Angeles. She called me and told me that she heard somebody saying that for us this was if we she was saying if pretty much if we woke, this is our first test because if they can move a movie, they can move an election.
Right.
So no, it's not. Don't believe that $12 million figure. That's nowhere near.
That's why I had
That's
said. That's why I had said when I had made that statement where the fact that they had to buy out all these theaters and get those sponsors. That's why I couldn't believe that it was actually 12 million. It wasn't a 12 million based on people actually going and willingly to pay to see it. Like they had to buy out theaters so people can go see it for free. That's like cheating.
right. And you have to also remember that they are racist, so they kept the same promotional game plan together that they do for black movies. They hit all urban centers.
Mm-hmm.
They went to the HBCs.
Of
They
course.
went to the black organizations. They pump their Negro brakes. They know what to do when they get out there. They hit all, and they hit their feminist bootlicks.
Of
They know
course.
who hit. They know what they got.
Mm.
But there's no way. This movie dropped Thursday. You have to understand that this movie. If they would have got somebody like Viola Davis, and they would have got big, we talking 28 to 30 million opening. Matter of fact, Friday by Saturday it'd have been all of the buzz.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, they were sold out of hell. They were sold out of popcorn if they would have got the right person.
Right.
But but and all I'm saying is this: this for me, this ain't just about Cynthia Erivo. I'm boycotting everything she in, but I'm boycotting all these foreigners. I've been watching how they all been coming out supporting her and not concerned with how we feel. And
Mm-hmm.
they got to remember, these black movies are black movies that need our finances. We cannot forget that we are the largest movie audience anywhere. Europe blacks ain't enough of them. Africa, if you lucky, they got maybe 50 studios in all of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, movie theaters, 50 movie theaters. I know in Nigeria with 54 countries, I think they got like 2 or 3 theaters. And Ghana just got 2. And I was there. I used to, before they built those 2, when I was living in Africa, they had 1, and it wasn't no damn movie theater. It was just a big old screen TV. Uh, uh, and they had a DVD player, and I had to tell him, this is not a movie theater. This is a room with a big damn TV in it with a DVD player. They had, and this was like late 90s, early 2000s. Okay? I don't want to take up too much of your time, but this movie is not. Look at the marketing. If you look at the marketing, go back and look at what they truly are making off of it, because they push too hard. Name me one black movie starring a black character, a black character, where they literally pushed like this. There's none. All right, I don't want to take up too much. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. I think for people who wanted to call in, I think DJ and the Great Black Shark were posting their number in here. All right, for those of you who want the number, it's right there. Solo Dolo just posted it in the chat. All right, you can go ahead.
Hello. Yes.
What's going on?
Yeah, how you doing, Torian? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
This is Jerome, J. Well, from New York City.
Oh, what's going on?
Yeah, man. I have a couple of things I want to say. I want to make it brief. First of all, I want to give a shout out to you, and I've been a follower for you for about 2 years, and I appreciate all the work you've done.
Appreciate
for
you.
ADOS, Black Community. Yes. Second thing, at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge, not to be disrespectful, but you have to acknowledge the fact that the Scythia chick, Nigerian bigot, is racist.
Mm-hmm.
It's unapologetic. It's unapologetic.
Right.
So I mean, for God's sake, everybody should benefit from the foreigners to. I didn't want to say her name. Starts with an O. If you know, if y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay?
Okra.
Oh my God, man!
See, I didn't say her name either.
Man,
I didn't say her name either. That was my, that's my nickname for her.
Yeah. Why am I surprised? I mean, you see what she did to Michael Jackson, and let's be real, people. Oprah was the only person that Michael Jackson could have trusted to do an interview with him regarding clearing his name, and she stabbed him in the back. As far as I'm concerned, let me tell you something. If I was in the same room with her, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to keep it like that. Mm-hmm. But they really, really went in. These white people actually went in on this movie. Literally, the bigger long. Are you serious?
Right.
Bigger long. And anybody who watched the movie, does that remind you of a particular scene? Does that remind you of a particular scene? Okay? And that scene is the Toby scene. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, how you gonna make up a slave catcher, a black slave catcher? You tell me out of all the slave movies that came out, in the last two and a half decades, you come up with a slave catcher now? So that was easily a signal from the Boondocks movement, because if you watch the Boondocks back in 2006, they had a episode, which in my opinion was one of the funniest episodes of that season 2, with Catch a Freeman. Right. AKA Catch a Freeman. So it's like I can't believe this. But then again, I'm not surprised. Like I don't, like I said, I'm boycotting this movie, and I urge every black man, woman, child in this country to boycott this movie. Like, the one thing I've noticed, the main reason why they're doing this with these foreigners coming in America and doing these movies is because the foreigners are obviously unaware of what's going on with black people in America to a large degree. Right. I mean, it's no surprise. It's no surprise. When Samuel Jackson called them out, he received all the disrespectful notions. Now remember, Samuel Jackson been acting for almost 35 years. Mm-hmm. And that's the response you're going to get. I mean, I don't know Samuel Jackson in person, but you got to respect his work.
Right.
35 years of acting, you get disrespect from people outside the country. Send a death threat to the people support thing and saying that. I don't condone that. I don't. But like I said before, I'm trying to make one more thing I want to say. I'd like to give a shout out to Lisa Cabrera.
Okay.
Shout out to the sister Lisa Cabrera. She posted a post on YouTube regarding the 13% population. Now, I'm gonna leave this as a question to everybody who's listening to this video. The question is, what does the Democrats, the Republicans, and the number 13 have in common? Out of all the numbers that white people can come up with, why are they so fixated with the number 13 regarding black people?
Is it
That's all I'm gonna say, Torian. Say again?
I want to think. Does it? Because I'm thinking. I'm thinking. I know where you're headed with that one. Does it have to do something with the 13 original colonies?
Yes.
Okay.
Why think about it, why is white people so associated with the number 13? I mean, the first time I heard about this bullshit ass narrative, 30% population narrative, was in 2009 by yours truly, Bill O'Reilly. Now he's gone because Tucker Carlson has a following on social media, which ended up him getting the gig in Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprising. But think about it. Number 13 is very significant to these people. It's like an obsession. Because when if I see somebody, a woman that is very pretty, I have an asphyxiating obsession with her, which is will be inappropriate, but nevertheless, that's the first impression. But that is the notion that these white people have over us. Every time they fuck up, get caught red-handed, with the most they do this to their own people. And when we call them out on their hypocrisy, they bring up the same narrative I heard in 2009. To all my ADOS brothers and sisters, when was the first time you heard that 30% population and 50% of the crime bullshit narrative? Just give me a year. That's all I'm going to say. Korean, I appreciate the words. You have a good day.
All right, you too. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, sir?
What's up?
I just want to say, first of all, I enjoy the work you do, man.
Appreciate
I wish
it.
when I was your age, my mind was open like yours is. I just want to be quick, though. Like, people got to realize that movie was made the way it was for, like, the younger generation. It's bad enough they don't actually teach them about slavery and, like, you know, Jim Crow and civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
So when they show stuff like that, it makes them think that it wasn't as bad. That's why if you look at some of the reviews, people like, oh, I didn't know slavery was like that. It wasn't like that. Like, that's basically all it is. Just designed to be another tool to convince the younger generation that, you know, white master wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's basically all I got. Just want to say that much.
Okay.
You have a good one, man.
You too. All right, for the people who want to call in, make sure that y'all call in when I'm not talking to somebody, because then my phone just constantly vibrates while I'm trying to talk to the person. So wait till the person's off and then call in. What's going on?
Hello, hi.
Hey.
Hi. This is Ruth.
Hey, how are you?
I'm okay. Thank you so much for everything. I listen to you all the time.
Appreciate it.
So what I'm calling to say is I think that this movie, I have not seen it intentionally, and I encourage everyone not to see it. I think it should fail.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's an insult and disrespect to us as a people. It's a disrespect to ADOS.
Oh, most definitely.
And here in Harlem, I have I won't say what establishment, but I have a business in Harlem, in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of Africans have very negative attitudes towards us,
I
but
can believe
they
it.
don't always, yeah, but they don't always come out and blatantly say what they want to say because they still need us.
Mm-hmm.
And when they can't get whatever it is that they want to get, then their true colors come out. So it's to see how this woman is. That's how a lot of Africans are here in New York.
Mm-hmm.
They really resent ADOS. So it's disrespectful for her of all people to play this role, especially when her energy and her spirit could impossibly embody the role and give it the respect it deserves.
Right.
And that's all I have to say.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you. Yeah, she's right. Like I believe that this part of Harriet should have definitely went to a woman who was ADOS because I think she could have really captured it. And then she had the nerve to talk shit about the character while it was going on. Hello?
Hi, yes.
Hold on. Let me
Lorraine?
get put the speakerphone. Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. I just wanted to chime in.
Yeah, I know you was calling in
Thank
like
you for the
crazy. I kept
platform, by the
recognizing
way.
your number.
Huh?
I said you was calling like crazy. I was like, I hope she calls back because I'm really trying to get to this number right here.
Oh, that's what's up. All right. Well, I'm calling from Arizona,
Okay.
but I wanted to say that this situation with this movie
Mm-hmm.
and the timing of it all, and I wanted to tie that in with the Byron situation with Comcast.
Yeah.
Because Comcast is actually the one that funded this movie.
Mm-mm. I heard that. I heard
And
that.
yeah, so it's good that we're all connected on this boycotting and not even feeling this. First of all, the script is trash. It really
Right.
is. So I don't care, and I'm actually grateful that it was not an ADOS that is in that
That role.
Harriet role because of the script being trash anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that they gave us even more energy to just be like, oh, this is a bunch of BS because they did Cynthia, and then the woman that's the director,
Mm-hmm.
and you snapped when you said that she was the one in Candyman. I was like, oh yeah, she was the dumb woman in Candyman. I remember her. She was the empty-headed one. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And then she did Eve's Bayou, and that was sort of like Mad Black Man, almost like The Color Purple.
Right. Oh, good example. Yeah, good.
Was,
Yeah, very good example. It's basically like a modern day Color Purple.
Yeah, the Eve's Bayou was almost like another version of Color Purple to me. So I was like, oh, okay. And then she's in this, and then they brought in this imaginary porn star. I was like, oh, okay, Biggie Long. I was like, really? Are you serious? So I was like, okay, all right, I see what y'all doing. So, but anyway, with the Byron Allen situation and the Comcast lawsuit, I think that it's very important that we keep this in mind and tie it all together with what's going on with that 1869 statute or Constitution. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Let's say that again.
Are you familiar with what I'm talking about with the Byron Allen lawsuit situation?
Yeah. He's been dealing with them for the last couple of months now, and because they're really not trying to give him that kind of control. They say you got the Weather Channel, be happy with that. That's basically what they're trying to tell him. They probably didn't even want him to have that.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that the Supreme Court dismissed all of that with his actual lawsuit. Mm-hmm. They're not looking at that. They're actually looking at the actual statute of the law, the way the law is written, to say that they have to do business with Black us. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's actually what's being put in front of the Supreme Court right now.
Okay.
So the ability to sue Comcast, which is a big monopoly. I mean, they if you don't like here in Arizona, I only have one choice for internet in the area that I'm in, and it's Cox Cable.
Right.
Okay, Cox Cable is actually under the umbrella of Comcast. So, and internet. Let me just say internet because I don't have cable in my house. I only do internet because I'm into the social media. I want to keep up with you. I want to keep up with Tariq. I want to keep up with Black, pro Black Truth and all of them. So I need the internet. So I'm like, okay, well, these are the only people that we have available for providers is Comcast. So then they sat up there and they financed this buffoonery of a fictional movie because this isn't even fact anymore.
Right.
They basically just made up a whole different scenario based off of a true character.
And you know what? We should have known that, and we should have known that this film wasn't going to do well because it screened at different film festivals before it got a nationwide release, and people even then who were there who saw it way back in like September said that the movie wasn't good. And these were people who went.
Yeah.
This was like back in like this. Like I said, this was like a couple months ago, and said that the movie wasn't good. So it's like, how did they go from that to what it is now?
The script is trash. Of course,
it is.
It's not good because the script isn't anything.
Yeah, based on what I was reading to y'all, that last tweet where I was running it down, that wasn't the script, but that was basically a synopsis of it, and just off of that, you could tell the script was garbage.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get off the phone because I know everybody's trying to get in because I know I was trying.
Yeah, you was calling like your number kept popping up, so I was like, let me hurry up and get them in.
I was like, I'm going to call in like the radio station giving away free tickets to the freaking something. I was hitting that redial like it was nobody's business. Okay, but anyway, the last point I wanted to make was the 2000 theaters. Jason Black put up a video, and he said that that it was only releasing. It has been released in 2,000 theaters. So if you divide that and do the math, and if they claim just like they're claiming the $12 million, that's actually nothing. It's nothing. So they're really doing bad, and thank God they're doing bad because it's trash. And how dare you? This is my biggest thing. How dare you put a black man in there with his gorgeous looking self, because I saw him on Sugarland or whatever that show was, and put him as Biggie Long. Really? Nigger Long or whatever the hell his name is.
Bigger Long.
Really? I'm like, this is crazy. Are you serious? That's like an insult to our intelligence.
That's one thing. That's a big pet peeve of mine. An insult to my intelligence. And that's all
I have to say, Mr. Terrain.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, did you have a little girl? What was that baby video about?
Oh, that wasn't about me. That was what was that about? I know a video you're talking about. I know a video you're talking about, but I can't think of it at the moment.
Okay, it's all good. I'll stay on top. That was just random. Okay. Anyway, thank you, and you guys have a good weekend, and love y'all all. Be one first, y'all.
All right, appreciate you. I think I'm gonna only do the calls until 6. So those of you who want to call in and speak, y'all got about 20 minutes. All right, let's see who this is. Oh shit, I missed and hung up on somebody by mistake. All right, hello?
Yes, I was calling to order some of the Popeyes fried chicken. When Harriet coming to deliver over to me.
Oh my God. Wow. At first I'm like, who is this talking like this? But when they said that. Oh, yeah. All right. All right, hello.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up?
Hey, just calling into your show, bro. I just had a question.
What's that?
What's with this concession to this idea that Cynthia Erivo is some great actress? First of all, I look at her, man, in these advertisements. It looks terrible. Just in the previews, she looks horrible. It looks like a soulless rendition of Harriet Tubman. They keep saying that, but she's a great actor. No, she's not. This is almost, it's like I don't even understand how that is something we're supposed to concede to as a rational argument about her getting that role. She is horrible.
Yeah, I was looking at the I was looking at the previews and I saw that, I was like, Harriet Tubman didn't strike me as the person that was scared. Like, she was the one that was putting fear in other people, making them scared of her.
If you look at her picture, she has a real deadly serious look to her face.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I look at pictures of Harriet Tubman, and when I look at Cynthia Erivo, she got this buff look, like weird, just Negro-pean, just air to her, just bizarre. Like it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. And then when you think about the lineage, that probably matters in what she carries into the role. She does not carry the spirit of an African American or ADOS into the role that she plays, and you can and I think, man, maybe us as African Americans, we can see it in a way other people can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
It actually being our ethnicity, we pick up on it a little better. But this concession that she's trained, she's British and she's a great actor. No, she's not. She's not. She's horrible. She is horrible. Like, aside from what she said about African Americans, aside from what them phasing out Black Americans from Hollywood, aside from all that, she's no good.
I
agree.
You
know what I mean? I don't understand how that is like the side note. Like, but understand that she's an excellent actor. No, she's not. I look at those previews and it's just like Tariq said, eye bucket. You get what I mean? Eye bucket. And just, weird bows and stuff like that, weird mannerisms that we just don't engage in. And I look at Harriet Tubman and being from the South, I can kind of pick up on the vibe that Harriet Tubman would have carried. You know what I mean? Because we got pictures of her. And she don't look like she's afraid of anything. She looks like she got some nerve.
Oh, yeah. Because, she's seen some stuff and she went through a lot. So she's not a woman that's going to be smiling or, like people say in the chat, bucking her eyes and looking scared and everything. And she looks scared in every picture that we saw of her.
Yeah, just weird, man. Just a real weird. They want to give some kind of flowery vibe to it. You ever seen a video of Fannie Lou Hamer? That's the vibe I would have thought. You know what I mean? That's the type of vibe Harriet would have carried if you ask me. But that's too black for them. They got a Eurocentric. They got to make it a little more Eurocentric.
And that's probably why they had an issue. And that's probably why they had an issue with Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation. If they had control over it, they would have been all for it.
It was a little too Negro-ish. That's what it is. Like, it can be too black. It just got that black vibe. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. Like, I've lived in Africa, man, and I just really don't know. They just don't have the same mannerism and presence that we do. You get what I mean? I feel like we're exceptional people in that sense. Like with how many amazing athletes come from us and how many amazing talented artists come from us. I just don't think they have that wow factor or that it. But it's also something just in our mannerisms, our soul, like they say, soul.
Right.
She has a soulless presence when she performs blackness. It's almost like watching an African. That's exactly what it is. Watching an African perform Black American like this culture, and it looks. You ever seen how
of Monsters Ball?
I've been trying to forget.
Okay. You know how Halle Berry takes this like weird accent whenever she's trying to talk like an African American woman. Like that's what it's like. It's just disingenuous.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You ever hear her when she's like, "Oh, what you mean? What they both be?" She sounds like a white person, like imitating a black person. If you look at her in Losing Isaiah and Monsters Ball, which ironically she gets an Oscar for Monsters Ball, and she looks and it looks weird. And so when they say Cynthia Erivo is a great actress, and she'll probably win an Oscar for this movie,
I hope
because
not.
they like to do that. No, they're going to do that. Just expect it because they like to rub it in. Hollywood is in this phase where, especially with us not liking it, you know, like Moonlight was the least watched movie to ever get an Oscar. That's the type of stuff they do to us. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they won't like that's just what it is. So she'll get an Oscar based on what we're doing online, just to kind of show us. They hate this like kind of what they call hotep. They don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not really sanctioned. So to rub it in our face, they'll give her an Oscar. So that's my opinion. She's definitely going to get an Oscar. But when I look at it, Halle Berry got an Oscar for Monsters Ball, and her acting as an impoverished black woman was horrible. Like you go to Louisiana, you go to Alabama, you go to Mississippi, then you listen to Halle Berry, and it just is like, what in the hell is this? Mm-hmm. So when they say, oh, she's awarded, she won a Tony, she won this, she won a, it's like, so what? Like I come from them people that she's imitating, and I can tell you, I don't believe it. I'm not buying in. It looks horrible. So that's all I wanted to say, man. I'm not going to take all your time, but, bro, I appreciate you taking my call.
All right.
All right, bro. Thank you.
All right. All right. Arjun, go ahead.
Hey, I'm going to try to make it as fast as I can, Toreen, man. This is Renzo calling from the Dallas area, man.
Oh, what's going on?
Hey, man. So the Cassie chick, right? The one who was in Eve's Bayou, the one who directed Eve's Bayou. It seems as if her career kind of plummeted in the early 90s. If you remember, she was in a movie called Silence of the Lambs. She was Agent Sterling's best friend in the FBI.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. See, I didn't know that she was in. I'm learning something new today because I forgot all about her in that movie.
Also, if you remember, it's a movie just to show you how sick she is and that she knows better. She was also in a movie called Drop Squad that came out in 1995 with Ving Rhames and how they was kidnapping people and they was like trying to make them pro-black and, you know, they was kidnapping street dudes. They was kidnapping corporate, uptight, bougie type dudes, and they was kidnapping them. They was kind of like, you know, re-blacking them, like kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like it's called Drop Squad.
Okay.
And she was in that as well. She was Eric LaSalle. I think she was his boyfriend. She was trying to get him to stop cooning or stop being, you know, because he was a top executive dude. I'll sell whatever. I don't care. Like they was even trying to sell some stuff called gospel packs where they was they had fried chicken. They couldn't use KFC, but they had fried chicken. They kind of reminded me of the chicken sandwich that came out with Popeyes.
Oh, God. And you know what's so crazy? They just it's crazy because today is the 3rd, so they just brought those back out today as a permanent menu item.
Wow. Man, y'all need to check that movie, Drop Squad, man. But yeah, this chick, man, she is poison. This whole movie, honestly, man, I've gotten away from Hollywood. I haven't seen new movies since 2010, really. I mean, I've seen a couple of new Avenger movies, stuff like that, but even then, I just don't even, I'm so removed from modern reality as we know. I don't listen to new rap. I don't watch new movies. I'm watching the 5 Heartbeats right now. Like, I think it's time for us to really just do our own thing, man. We already know who our enemies is. We already know anybody who's non-ADOS and is not conscious enough to know what's going on with that is not a friend of ours, bro. Seriously, and it just we need to just move on and do our own thing. And I know, I'm preaching to the choir. We keep saying that we need to build our own. But I mean, it's true, man. Even a little bit counts. Now, I made a joke earlier in the chat saying Medea got the studio now, but I don't think people realize how much power that is by him having a studio. He can produce his own films without going through any major distribution company or anything. He can pretty much put out his own, and so I'm just waiting to see what he's gonna do. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the new show that Tyler has now, and it just looks like a spinoff to Scandal.
Oh God.
Well,
I know I wouldn't be watching that.
First lady, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I listen to all y'all, man. I listen to you, to a little bit of everybody, man. You'd be surprised, like and it's just like, man, we don't all have to agree, but we can all get on the common ground that ADO, it should be, I'm not going to even see B1 first, because it's so many other black people in the world. That's what, soon you're going to have Africa, B1, we're going to be B1. No, it's ADOS first, or no, none at all, period.
Mm-hmm.
Forget B1, man. It should be ADOS first, dog. Because we already know who our enemies is, bro. All these non-ADOS groups keep saying how low we are, how dirt we are, this and that. But y'all steady copying us, though.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all steady copying us. So if y'all copying dirt, what does that make y'all? Carbon copies of dirt. I don't know, man. I just feel like I'm alone out here. Like I said, I'm calling from the Dallas area, so you already know what time it is.
Mm-hmm.
I went up there to the courthouse before the Amber Geiger trial and all that situation, the Fort Worth situation. I'm just like, bro, y'all will be surprised at how blinded people are out here. I know you don't have long, but man, I wish I could describe. I put it to you this way: how people out here think, bro. Like just because we're not a real collective out here. Let's just get that situated right now. I'm from a little bit. I'm not from the Dallas. I just live out here. I've been living out here for about 10 years. How brother, quote unquote, brothers and sisters carrying. I'm not gonna say all, because it's a lot of good brothers and sisters out here too. But I got the impression of that the Coast Guard right now went to every black door and knocked on every black door and said, "Nigga, get in. We headed back to the plantation." Around every black door, you will have niggas fighting and killing each other to try to make headlines in the plantation, in the field out there. See, that's how I feel, and I feel like I'm alone in this shit out here.
Mm.
And I knew that judge shit was gonna happen. She was gonna pat her on the back, and I'm sorry, I know I got off topic, but man, like none of that Harriet Tubman, that did not surprise me one iota. We already know where they at with us. They have not shown us no real love since the early night. Even then, a little crack in the door, a little peek in the door, a little crack in the door with Malcolm X. That was probably the last greatest black film ever made, like that could be taken seriously. I mean, you could nitpick some things out of that, you know what I mean? But even still, like, anybody could watch X and take that seriously. You cannot watch any black movie, maybe a made-for-TV movie in the early 90s, mid-90s, that was kind of like, I think it was one called Mama Rose's Family or something like that with Cicely Tyson. That was all right. That came out like 98, something like that. But even then, like, after that, you can't say that there's been one solidly put together black film about a historical black figure. You cannot say that. So we should not be surprised at none of this, man. We know who our enemies are.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know I said a mouthful, man. I feel like I'm venting, man. I'll let the other callers get to it, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate your channel and your time, man. And a lot of brothers like you, man. I just, man.
All right.
And they really want to. They don't want to see strong black men out. They don't want to see strong, straight black men out here who can think. They don't want that. It seems like nobody really wants that. People say they want that, but they really don't want that. They don't want that at all. I'm sorry. I'll leave it to you, though, man. Enjoy your show, man. I appreciate you, man.
No problem.
Thank you,
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello? It sounds like you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. My name's Kenny, man. I'm a subscriber of yours,
All right.
and I just after seeing some of the trailers, I didn't bother. I didn't bother to go see movies. You know, I read about her. You know, I seen and just some types of had and seeing the trailer it just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't appeal to me. Something was off.
I felt the
You
same
know?
way.
So, I mean, just I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's with the fancy. I don't know. She's dressing all fancy and stuff. It wasn't like that, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just in the way I see it, it's just another way to vilify black men, like the
Right.
previous movies. Yeah. So I'm not going to support it.
Good.
Yeah. I just and I see the difference. Like you see how they did Nate Parker when he made the what you call it, Birth of a Nation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it's so biased.
Oh, it's cl- oh,
really
I peeped that early on. They gonna make sure this film stays scandal free.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, it's kind of like rather than black men and black women working together, it seems like Hollywood just like we're going against each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we competing against each other. I mean, I'm not feeling that, man. I'm with more with the unity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not really feeling that film, and I'm not. Hell, I ain't even getting it on bootleg, man. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, but that's all I want to say, man.
All right. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna take one more call. Just one. What's going on?
What's going on, bro? I've been trying to get you, dog.
I know it's like the line is hot right now.
I know, bro. You the celebrity around the community. That's good, though. That's good. How you living?
I'm doing good.
I'm doing good. So I'm calling from off the grid in GA in this Georgia mud right now.
Okay.
But what I wanted to say was, first off, fuck that movie.
Right.
But let me first say this. I'm a Virgo, so anybody who's a Virgo, they know we overanalyze. I've already seen the bigger picture that a lot of our people haven't seen. One thing we got to understand about white people, they real strategic. They doing shit in phases. You understand just as well as I understand that their numbers are declining. They dying more than they making babies. And they got a high suicide rate, and this opioid epidemic tops crack about 10 times.
Now that's a movie I'd go see.
They need us to survive. So what they trying to do is they know that their time is up. They only had 6,000 plus years to live, and they gone. The only way for them to survive is us. They got to get us away from each other. Then they will breed with us. Because if you notice, all they show now is interracial everything. Every commercial, if it's a black man, he got a white woman. If it's a black woman, she got a white man. That's what they
even got a show now called Mixed Ish.
Exactly. Exactly. This shit got to stop. But at the same time, we got to stop looking to these celebrities to talk for us as if we waiting on this super nigga to come around and say all the right shit that's at that level to make shit happen. Like, we can't even rely on Tyler Perry because he makes movies based off the suffering of black women and the suffering of black men. He makes nothing positive about our people. So we got to throw away all celebrities, period. Because ain't nobody going to tell that story about Tulsa, Oklahoma. No, and if they do, they ain't going to tell it right. And this reparations bullshit about education, they can go to hell with that too. I don't want no education. Give me my 40 acres and my mule and give me some bread because y'all gave reparations to the slave owners. And y'all gave the Jews a land that ain't theirs. And I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. And before I go, I just want to say all black men that don't have no felonies, go get the straps because it's been wartime. Like, on God.
I appreciate you.
But that's all I wanted to say, man. You be safe out there, man. I watch you every single day. I wait for your shit to premiere and everything. Me and my wife watch you faithfully, bro.
I appreciate y'all.
And and by the way, too, that Amber Geiger shit, had that have been me, the moment she would have walked out that courtroom, she would have got sniped. And if I would have been giving her a hug, it would have been to shank her ass in the courtroom. On God. Take it easy, bro.
All right, y'all. That was the last call. I said I was only going to go until 6. My apologies to those who couldn't get through, but it was so many calls coming in at one time. Some people were calling while I was on the call. Sometimes 2 calls were coming in at the same time. Like right before I would try to press the send button or the connect button or whatever that green button is, it would go to the next one, and then the one that it was intended for, they got swiped to the left. But I do plan on doing more live streams, but of course it has to be a topic that I can carry on for a while, like this one right here. I couldn't do this in a small video. And then I'm going to try to do the live streams more earlier like I did today so I can hold these calls. But I do appreciate everybody who came through. Shout out to the people that called in. Shout out to the people that donated. Shout out to the people that were in the chat that were engaging with the discussion. I reached like over 400 live viewers today, which actually is rare. I don't think I've actually reached numbers that high. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sign out of this thing because people gonna keep calling me, and I'm not trying to have this phone constantly ringing the entire night. I remember one time someone called me on this Skype phone number like it was my regular phone number. I was like, who is this? But I didn't answer it though. I just hung up on them. No more calls, everybody. The last call that I did was the last call. But I do appreciate everybody for coming through. There probably won't be an 8:45 video tonight because I did this live stream. So the next video that I do upload will most likely be tomorrow, of course, at 9:45 and then going forward. With that being said, y'all have a good night, and I will talk to you in